What starts as a simple witch exam quickly turns into one of the most unsettling tests in Witch Hat Atelier so far. And no, I don't mean the official exam. I mean the real test, the one created by the brim cap, who should have never been inside of the Serpentback Cave in the first place. In this video, we're covering Witch Hat Atelier chapters 22 through 24, focusing mostly on what happens inside the Serpentback Cave with Agott, Richeh, Euini, and the brimmed cap Sasaran. We'll also touch on what's happening outside with Qifrey, Coco, Tetia, because that side of the story connects directly to the dark history of Romonon. Before we get into chapter 22, we need one piece of context as a reminder. The Serpentback Cave is tied to the fallen cavern nation of Romonon, a civilization known for beautiful gold work, wealth, pride, and eventually horrifying cruelty. Romonon did not just look down on outsiders. Over time, they began deciding which people had value and which people did not. The sick, the poor, the weak, the elderly, the foreign, and even those who disagreed were turned into gold. So, when the cave starts acting like it has a memory, that is not random. This place is haunted by the consequences of magic used without compassion. Now, in chapter 22, Agott, Richeh, and Euini are inside the cave taking the second test. Alara is supposed to be supervising them, and the goal is to guide the Murphins safely through the cave. But then Sasaran appears, and from the moment he enters the story, the mood shifts. Sasaran is not just dangerous because he uses forbidden magic. He is dangerous because of how he plays with people. He has this theatrical, almost playful personality, but underneath that is someone cruel, manipulative, and deeply comfortable treating children like experiments. Now, of all the brim caps, in my opinion, he's probably the cruelest of them. Sasaran is not giving villain monologues because he has wisdom to share. He's giving villain monologues because he likes the sound of himself while terrorizing minors in a cave. And yes, I'm judging him. The apprentices try to hide from him, and Euini uses his cloak to conceal the group. But Sasaran treats the whole thing like a twisted game of hide and seek. He talks about people who hide in the shadows, criminals, cowards, hunters, and prey. That line tells us a lot about him. Sasaran does not just attack with magic, he attacks identity. He wants to define people by their fear before they even get a chance to define themselves. Meanwhile, the cave itself is falling apart. Listen, the Serpentback road starts moving wildly, crumbling and twisting, and the apprentices are forced to run. They cannot simply fly away because of the ancient magic affecting the cave. This is where Agott starts to shine. She remembers how Alara created ice at her feet to cross a gap in the road. So Agott takes the idea and expands on it. Instead of crossing one broken section, she decides to freeze the road and skate across it. So what it looks like is like a sheet of ice that they're standing on, as you can see on the manga panel. This is a strong Agott moment in this situation. She can be prideful, she can be sharp, she can absolutely be the type of person who blames someone else when life interrupts her plans. But when things get serious, Agott is smart, she observes, she adapts, and turns someone else's technique into a survival strategy. Richeh and Euini help her, and this becomes one of the best parts of the cave sequence. Richeh is forced into a situation where only using her preferred magic spells is not enough. Euini offers her his spells, and she has to accept help from outside her own style. That does not mean Richie's personal magic is wrong. It means that sometimes having more tools in your arsenal or having more tools in your spell quite matters. A witch who knows more spells has more ways to protect people. Euini, on the other hand, starts to experience something new. We see him growing in confidence. He realizes that the things he used to see as weaknesses, hiding, compensating, preparing in advance, might actually be the reason he can do things other people cannot. His magic is not useless. His way of thinking is not useless. And then Sasaran ruins it completely. Because apparently, Sasaran sees a child gaining confidence and thinks, Absolutely not. Let's make this worse. First, he goes after Agott and tries to draw a forbidden tattoo seal on her body. This is terrifying because forbidden ink on the flesh is not treated like a temporary injury in this world. It can permanently change someone's body, future, and place in society. Agott panics because she still has not proven herself. This is the heart of her character in this moment. She wants to be worthy. She wants to show that she belongs. So, when Sasaran threatens her future, he is not just attacking her physically, he is attacking the thing she is most desperate to protect. Richeh and Euini manage to save her by breaking part of the road from below or underneath them. For a moment, it feels like they've outsmarted him. Euini even gets a beautiful moment where he realizes he may not be as hopeless as he was made to believe that he is. Then Sasaran strikes him. Euini is hit by forbidden magic, and because scale with fur from his cloak gets tangled into the spell, his body begins to transform into a scale wolf like form. And take a look at this panel because this is now intensity. What Sasaran just did is horrifying, but horrifying for their future. This is where Sasaran becomes especially disgusting as a character. He is not horrified by what happens to Euini. He is interested. To him, this is data. This is a discovery. This spell did not go exactly as planned, but Sasaran, he's fine with the results because Euini can still serve his purpose. This is the real horror of Sasaran as one of the brim caps. Now, not all of the brim caps are as extreme as him. They talk about freedom, though. They talk about true magic. They talk like they're liberating people from rules. But in practice, Sasaran himself treats people like test subjects. And these are children that we're talking about. So the brim caps do go after children. That needs to be said. What Sasaran did is cruelty with better branding. After Euini runs off in his transformed state, Richeh wants to chase after him immediately. Agott agrees that Euini needs help, but she points out the practical problem. The Myfrins still need protection. Alara's missing, and someone needs to warn the adults. So Agott makes the hard decision. She goes after Euini, while Richeh stays with the Myfrins. And this is a painful moment for Richeh because Agott tells her the truth. Richeh does not have the range of spells needed to respond to this kind of unpredictable situation. This is harsh, but it's not wrong. Richeh wants to help, but wanting to help is not the same as being prepared to help. Outside of the cave, things are going terrible as well. Qifrey realizes something is wrong when Alara's hat comes flying out as a warning. Then the Serpentback Road erupts from the ground and Qifrey protects Coco and Tetia from the disaster, but he gets badly injured by doing so. And then the ancient people of Romonon appear. These gold figures are not just monsters. They're people who were turned into gold and left in that state for ages. They see witches, and all they see is the cruelty that was done to them. Qifrey tries to fight while injured, but Tetia realizes he cannot keep doing this alone. So she steps forward and she steps in. And this is such a Tetia moment because her instinct is not just to defeat them, her instinct is to speak to them. She remembers that they are good people, angry people, dangerous people, but they were once still people before they were turned into gold. The Romonon figures challenge the girls with a riddle. What fills the outside world is sought by all creatures, exists down here for none of them, and was taken from them by magic. Coco and Tetia, they try their best to think through the answer. They run through a series of different things: sunlight, food, warmth, rest. There are too many possibilities. But then Coco gets close to the heart of it, and she says, comfort. She offers them Ollie's Snugstone, a gentle spell meant to bring warmth and peace of mind. The Romonon use an ancient amplification lens to increase its power because the Snugstone itself is too small. We know that Ollie's Snugstone is normally like a 1-for-1 with one person. And so we have a bunch of Romonon like gold figures. So the amplification lens, it does increase the power. Instead of only comforting them, it begins to melt their gold bodies. Now, Coco being Coco, she tries to stop them. She does not want this to be the end for them. She wants to learn more, grow more, and someday find a better way to help them. But the Romonon thank her, and that thank you is devastating because it is not happy, it is exhausted. Coco, she did not save them in the way she wanted. She gave them rest. And this is what makes chapters 22 through 24 so strong. The Serpentback Cave is not just an action set piece, it is a moral pressure cooker for all of them. Romonon shows what happens when magic is judged to say who deserves to live freely and who does not. Sasaran shows what happens when magic is used without consent, empathy, or restraint. And the children are forced to ask the question sitting underneath this entire arc. What is magic actually for? By the end of chapter 24, Alara wakes up and reveals the worst possible detail. Once ink enters flesh, the change is permanent. There's no coming back. And the chapter closes on Euini in his transformed scale wolf form, making that warning feel less like a rule and more like a sentence. So now, I want to ask you, what do you think of Sasaran as well as his persona as well? Because if you've listened to or heard other manga readers, Sasaran is probably the most cruel of the brim caps and probably the only one that's really overly cruel. Was he mainly trying to lure Coco toward forbidden magic by attacking Agott, Richeh, and Euini? I think we all know the answer to this. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you made it to the end of this video, thanks for hanging in there with me. Do not forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video. I'll meet you at the next Point and Hat discussion. Thanks for stopping by and watching.